Hello everyone, my name is Matiza. Today I want to speak to you guys about how to secure research opportunities as a pre-med. The first thing I want you guys to understand is that research doesn't look like one type of research. So when people say research, there's usually a prototype that appears in one's mind, and that can be, someone actually in a lab pipetting. But I want you guys to know that if pipetting is not your thing, then that type of research doesn't have to be your thing. In the pre-med world, research falls under two main umbrellas: dry lab and wet lab. I spoke about this more in my pre-med 101 video that I will have linked down below, so go check it out, but I'll touch briefly on this in this video. So wet lab is actually hands-on laboratory work. For example, I did biology research where I was literally conducting the laboratory techniques that we learned in biology class, such as pipetting, PCR, and so forth. That's the type of work that wet lab research consists of. It's not limited to, because there's tons of more laboratory techniques, but that gives you a gist. Dry lab is the opposite, where instead of exploring your research question via laboratory techniques, you are exploring your research question beyond the science lab. For example, for my language research, it was more of doing literature review and literary work that helped address my research question as it related to the topic of languages. Now, you also may have heard of clinical research. So clinical research also falls under both umbrellas, because you can conduct clinical research on a more laboratory level where you are intaking the sample and actually, dealing with the sample to help address your research question, which falls under wet lab research. Or you can also be on the administrative side, where you are actually interviewing your participants or drafting the survey questions. That is more on the dry lab research side. So now that we have that out the way, I'm going to give you guys my great tips on how to secure research opportunities as a pre-medical student to start on your campus. And what I did was I researched all of the research labs that were on my campus. I really focus on research labs that spoke to me, because I knew as a pre-med I'm gonna have classes after classes, exams after exams, and so much more responsibilities under my belt, that the last thing I want to do is to be in a lab or be involved in research for X amount of hours and me not liking the research. Go online based on your institution and do a deep dive. Learn about the labs and the projects that they have going on and who is a part of that lab. That way you can interview them or ask them questions and ask them more about the lab. How is the lab environment? What's the workflow in the lab, so that you know what you're getting yourself into. But you're also going to do a little research on the faculty PI of the lab. And what I was looking for was their genuine drive for their research. So I would read their biographies, but then I would also read the lab outcomes, such as their published papers. So you've done your investigation on these labs and you picked your labs that you're interested in. The next step is to outreach. Find their email, find their classroom, and go speak to them. I not only emailed, but I also spoke in person. And I recommend going during office hours. And if you don't know when the professor's office hours are, just ask. Ask their students who are in their classes, or ask them, "Hi, I'm looking to come speak to you during office hours, but I don't know when they are. Would you happen to know?" Even if you're not their student, ask. But we're not only going to go to the professor just to show face, but you're going to express your interest in their lab. "Hi, my name is Matiza. I'm really interested in your neuroscience lab." And say the name of the lab. "Would you happen to know of a way I can apply to be in the lab?" And then they may say, "Oh yeah, sure. There is no application process, but tell me more about the reason why you would be interested." And you come with your reasons. And remember when I said that it's important to read the publications that this PI and the lab are involved in? This is where that comes in. You're going to want to make sure to align your personal research interest in the lab with what has already been done in the lab. Let's say that the professor in the research lab published about social behavior among student athletes, and non-student athletes as it related to eating lunch for a longer time. But you might say something like, your recent work on the time duration of eating lunch amongst student athletes and non-student athletes aligns well with my interest in further exploring social behavior as it relates to tenacity amongst student athletes and non-student athletes. Do you see what I'm saying? Your interest aligns with what the lab has already got going on. And not only that, you would be adding value to the research lab by introducing a different perspective with the same study participant group but a different research question. So the PI is like, oh wow, not only did this student read up on my work, the student also is proposing new ideas. So it's important that when you outreach to the professor, you're not only outreaching saying, oh, I want to be in your lab, but you're outreaching showing why you would be a great addition to their lab. That is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe down below. And if you know of any other way to secure a research experience, go ahead and drop it down below in the comments and share with our community. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Mwah. Ciao.